All right, so we're diving deep today into the uUagang'A society.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that kind of legendary African society
Hmm?
that's like a real-life Wakanda, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
We've got excerpts from this document called uUagang'A Society,
Okay.
and it's packed with some pretty mind-bending ideas about their culture, philosophy, and abilities
Yeah.
that'll make you really question everything you thought you knew.
It is really interesting because what's unique about uUagang'A is that it's not like just a hidden city.
Right.
It's more like a state of being, you know? It
Right.
suggests this whole reality that you can actually reach through like personal growth and understanding.
Okay, so like leveling up in real life. I
Yeah.
guess I'm intrigued, but also a little skeptical.
Sure.
Tell me more about like how this leveling up even works.
So think of it this way. Their whole society is built around this idea of MA.
Okay.
And it's this belief that everything is connected by like the same fundamental essence. It goes way beyond just respecting nature. It's like they see every action as having like a ripple effect on the entire community, you know?
So like a butterfly effect, but with like,
Yeah.
I don't know, more responsibility?
Yeah.
Does that mean they never do anything just for like themselves?
It's not that they don't value individuality,
Yeah.
but it's more that they understand that their actions are always like part of a larger web, you know?
Uh-huh.
It compares it to like a spider web.
Okay.
Each strand is important and it contributes to like the strength and beauty of the whole thing.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that image.
Mm-hmm.
But where did this whole uUagang'A thing even come from?
Right.
The document mentioned something about a great fall.
Yes.
Like, do they literally fall from somewhere?
That's where the origin story gets really wild.
Okay.
They describe existing in this state of like pure awareness,
Okay.
almost like a collective consciousness.
Okay.
But over time, they gradually descended into like denser realities, you know, which led to a separation into like the 5 tribes that we read about.
Hold up, 5 tribes.
Yeah.
So there's not just like one unified uUagang'A society.
Think of it like different branches of the same tree, you know, each specializing in certain aspects of their culture,
Yeah.
but all connected by that shared origin. And get this, they believe that we humans are actually remnants of that original uUagang'A.
Okay.
Like we've forgotten our true nature.
Whoa. Okay, that's a lot to unpack. So deep down, are you saying we all have the potential to be like those superpowered Wakandans?
Well, the document doesn't frame it as superpowers
Okay.
in like the comic book sense,
Yeah.
but they do believe in like a potential within us
Right.
that's been dormant for centuries, you
Right.
know?
Uh-huh.
Remember that feeling you get when you see like breathtaking sunset or hear a piece of music
Yeah.
that moves you deeply? That sense of awe, that feeling of being connected to something bigger?
Yeah.
That could be the echo of your uUagang'A heritage.
Okay, now I'm really interested. So we've got this MA connecting everything, and we're all basically descendants of these, I don't know, enlightened beings.
Yeah.
What else makes their worldview so unique?
Their philosophy, which they call uUagang'A,
uUagang'A.
it takes this interconnectedness even further.
Yeah.
It's not just that everything is connected, it's that everything possesses human-like qualities.
Really?
Imagine approaching a tree with the same respect you'd show, like, a friend.
Wow.
That's uUagang'A in action.
So it's even deeper than animism,
Right.
where like spirits are believed to inhabit nature.
Exactly. uUagang'A is about recognizing the shared essence in everything. And it makes you wonder, how would our world change
Yeah.
if we saw the wind, the rocks, the sky as having that same spark of consciousness that we do?
Okay. I'm starting to see how they operate on a whole other level.
Yeah.
But the document also mentioned something even crazier.
Okay.
MI and the Great Eye.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're entering the Twilight Zone here.
Hold on to your hats, because MI is described as like a state of elevated consciousness achieved by transcending the individual self.
Okay.
Those who reach MI develop something called the Great Eye, or uUagang'A, which basically gives them the ability to perceive the past, present, future, and even alternate realities all at once.
Well, hold on. Are we talking like precognition?
Yes.
Like seeing all of time just laid out in front of you?
The document describes it as more like experiencing all of time as one continuous flow.
All right.
rather than separate moments. It's a concept that completely shatters our linear understanding of time.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown.
Yeah.
But how do they even communicate if they're experiencing reality on such a different level?
Right.
Do they have like some kind of telepathy thing going on?
Actually, the document suggests their language is less about words
Okay.
and more about understanding the deeper meaning behind sounds and actions.
Okay.
They use 5 emotional sounds, A, U, O, E.
Okay.
Each links to the 5 temples of the body.
Wait, hold up. 5 temples of the body. What does that even mean?
So they believe that each sound resonates in a specific part of the body.
Huh.
The head, chest, abdomen, waist, limbs.
Okay.
And these sounds are more than just noises.
Right.
They carry emotional weight and even influence the world around them.
So like if you're feeling super zen, you'd make a specific sound that vibrates in your, say, abdomen.
Yeah.
And that somehow affects the people around you.
It's not about like consciously manipulating people,
Okay.
but rather about recognizing the power of sound and intention.
Right.
Think about a time you felt deep awe.
Yeah.
That feeling is often accompanied by the A sound resonating in the head, the temple of consciousness,
Oh.
or that sense of freedom and spaciousness you get when you're looking out at a vast landscape. That's the U sound, associated with the chest and the element of air.
Okay. I'm starting to get a feel for it. It's like they're tapping into something primal, something beyond our everyday language.
Right.
But how do they achieve these incredible feats we keep reading about? The document talks about Angi, right?
Yes, NG is their concept of like the energy that fuels action and creation.
Okay.
But it's not just brute force. It's more like the power of focused will combined with a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all things.
So are you saying their ambitions are somehow amplified by the collective will of their society? That's pretty intense.
The document suggests that their pursuits are always aligned with the good of the community.
Uh-huh.
It's like their individual ambitions are interwoven with the needs of the whole.
Right.
Imagine what we could achieve if our own goals were fueled by a sense of shared purpose and a desire to contribute to something larger than ourselves.
That's a pretty profound thought.
Yeah.
But speaking of achieving things, what about technology? Do they have like spaceships and gadgets like in Wakanda?
Yeah.
Or are they all about living in harmony with nature and shunning modern advancements?
This is where things get really interesting.
Right.
They don't seem to be focused on what we'd consider technology, gadgets, machines, that sort of thing. Instead, they prioritize oni I oi, which translates roughly to internal alchemy.
Internal alchemy.
Yeah.
So instead of building outward, they focus on developing their inner potential.
Exactly. Think of it like this. A uUagang'A can supposedly manipulate their own body at will.
Really?
Like alter bone density, grow specific types of hair.
Hold up. Were you saying they can basically shapeshift?
The document doesn't go into specifics,
Okay.
but it does suggest that they see the body as a vessel with incredible potential,
Uh-huh.
and that this potential can be unlocked through focused will and a deep understanding of their inner workings.
Okay, now I'm really starting to wonder what humans are capable of if we shifted our focus inward.
Yeah.
But what about the more personal aspects of life? The document mentions something about sex and reproduction in uUagang'A society. And let's just say it piqued my curiosity.
Sure. This is where we need to tread carefully and approach the information with an open mind.
Okay.
They view sex not merely as a physical act, but as a powerful tool for creation and connection on a much deeper level.
Okay, so not just about, the birds and the bees.
Right.
What does that even mean?
He describes something called psychic sex,
Okay.
which, and I'm quoting here, involves the weaving of souls through the vessel of a chosen pair.
Okay.
It's a concept far removed from our modern understanding of intimacy.
Whoa. Okay, that's a lot to process.
Mm-hmm.
So their understanding of sex is more about a merging of consciousness and creative energy.
The document suggests that the act of creation can extend beyond the physical realm,
Right.
opening up possibilities we might not even be able to comprehend.
Oh.
It's a very different way of thinking about the power of connection and the potential of human energy.
Okay, this is definitely going to require some deep thinking on my part.
Yeah.
But before we go down that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
the document also mentions some incredible figures and artifacts.
Right.
The Black Panther, the Spear of Destiny.
Yes.
This sounds like something straight out of a fantasy novel.
These figures and artifacts seem to represent like the pinnacle of uUagang'A power and wisdom. The Black Panther, for example, embodies a state of pure instinctual awareness,
Okay.
a connection to the raw energy of the natural world.
So it's not just a title or a person, it's more like a state of being.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
anyone could potentially become the Black Panther.
That's what the document implies, that it's a role earned through a deep connection to the natural world
Okay,
and a mastery of one's inner self.
that's pretty wild. But what about the Spear of Destiny?
Yeah.
What makes it so special?
It's described as a weapon crafted from the very essence of a legendary warrior, imbued with immense power and capable of holding the 13 moons.
Holding the 13 moons. Okay, now I'm officially lost. What does that even mean?
That's one of the many mysteries the document presents. We
Right.
can only speculate on the meaning,
Yeah.
but it clearly points to a deep understanding of the cosmos and the interconnectedness of all things.
All right, you've officially piqued my curiosity.
Good.
But before we get too lost in the mystical side of things, let's talk about their version of vibranium. The document calls it Ingitema. Right.
Nutima. It's described as far more than just a metal.
Okay.
It's a living entity with a consciousness of its own,
Really?
capable of shifting between the 5 states of matter.
5 states of matter? I thought there were only 3. Solid, liquid, and gas?
That's our limited understanding.
Oh.
The uUagang'A recognized 2 additional states, crystalline and light.
Okay.
And they believe that Kitetema is the very building block of life itself.
Wow.
Constantly in motion, its movements creating the patterns and structures of reality.
Okay, that's mind-boggling to say the least.
Yeah.
So we've got this society that values interconnectedness, inner growth, and has access to abilities and materials that sound straight out of science fiction. It's like they're operating on a whole other level of existence.
Yeah.
But if they're so advanced, why haven't we heard of them before?
Yeah.
Where are they now?
The document hints that they exist in a subspace,
Okay.
slightly lighter than our own,
Okay.
which allows them to observe and influence our world without direct interference.
So they're out there, watching us, maybe even guiding us in subtle ways. That's both fascinating and a little creepy.
It definitely challenges our assumptions about reality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But remember, they believe that humans are remnants of the original uUagang'A.
Right.
Perhaps we have the potential to reconnect with that lost wisdom and unlock our own extraordinary abilities.
This is definitely a lot to digest. We've barely scratched the surface of this incredible society, and I'm already hooked.
Yeah.
We'll need to dive deeper into the specifics of their culture, their values, their way of life.
Indeed. And there are still so many questions to explore. How does their society function on a practical level? What are their beliefs about life and death? And perhaps most importantly, what can we learn from them? These are the questions we'll explore in part 2 of our deep dive.
Can't wait.
See you there.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of the uUagang'A.
Yeah.
Last time we were blown away by the concepts of, MA and interconnectedness.
Right.
And that whole idea that humans might actually be descendants of this ancient advanced society.
Yeah.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around, but also incredibly exciting.
What's fascinating is that the document doesn't just present these ideas in a theoretical way.
Right.
It actually gives glimpses into how these principles play out in their daily lives.
Okay, so less philosophy, more real-world stuff. I'm all for that.
Exactly.
Give me the uUagang'A lowdown. How does their society actually function? What makes them tick?
Well, as we touched on earlier, their way of life is deeply rooted in the principle of Ubuntu.
Right.
That profound interconnectedness of all things.
Okay.
But it's not just a vague concept.
Right.
It's woven into every aspect of their society, from their governance to their family structures.
Okay, so Ubuntu is like their operating system, the foundation upon which everything else is built.
Exactly. And what's remarkable is how this principle translates into action.
Okay.
For example, they believe that individual growth and development directly benefits the entire community.
So it's like the opposite of a dog-eat-dog world. They actually encourage each other to succeed.
Precisely. The document describes a society where sharing knowledge and skills is paramount,
Okay.
where helping others to reach their full potential is seen as a collective responsibility.
That's such a refreshing concept, especially in our world where competition is often valued above collaboration.
Yeah.
But let's talk about those incredible abilities we keep hearing about.
Right.
We've touched on the Black Panther and their mastery over their physical forms.
Right.
But what other skills and talents do they cultivate?
It's fascinating. The document describes abilities that seem to mirror the diversity of the natural world itself.
Okay.
They have individuals who can communicate with animals, influence the weather, heal the sick, using plants and energy.
Wow.
It's like they've tapped into a source of knowledge that we've lost touch with.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But how do they develop these abilities? Is it something you're born with, like in those superhero movies?
Right.
Or is it something anyone can learn?
They believe that everyone is born with the potential for extraordinary abilities,
Okay.
but it takes dedication and disciplined practice to cultivate them.
Right.
They have special schools and mentors
Oh, wow.
dedicated to guiding individuals on a path of self-discovery and mastery.
So it's not about superpowers, but about unlocking potential that's already within us.
Yeah,
That's a pretty empowering idea.
exactly. It challenges the notion that greatness is reserved for a select few.
Right.
The uUagang'A believe that each individual has a unique contribution to make,
Yeah.
and that society thrives when everyone is empowered to reach their full potential.
I love that idea. It's like they've created a society where everyone is a superhero in their own way.
Exactly.
But let's get practical for a second. How do they govern themselves? Do they have a leader? A king like in Wakanda?
Yeah.
Or is it something completely different?
Interestingly, they don't have a single ruler in the traditional sense.
Okay.
The document describes a system of collective leadership, guided by the wisdom of elders and those who have achieved like a high level of consciousness.
So it's more like a council or a collective decision-making process.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty chaotic, to be honest.
It might seem that way on the surface.
Yeah.
But remember, their entire society is built on the principle of Ubuntu.
Right.
They believe that the best decisions are made when everyone's voice is heard
Uh-huh.
and the needs of the community are prioritized.
So it's less about power struggles and more about finding solutions that benefit everyone.
Exactly. They seem to have a deep trust in the wisdom of the collective
Okay.
and a belief that by working together, they can overcome any challenge.
Okay. I can see how that might work in a society where everyone is on the same page, so to speak.
Right.
But what about their economy?
Yeah.
How do they manage resources and trade in a world where everyone seems to have everything they need?
Their economic system is as unique as their governance.
Okay.
They believe in abundance and sharing,
Okay.
operating from the understanding that nature provides everything they need.
So they basically live in a utopia where scarcity and greed don't exist. That sounds pretty idealistic.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But remember, their entire worldview is based on the interconnectedness of all things.
Right.
They see themselves as stewards of the earth,
Okay.
responsible for maintaining balance and ensuring the well-being of both their people and the natural world.
I guess when you see yourself as part of a larger ecosystem, it makes sense to take care of the whole, right?
Exactly.
But let's circle back to the idea that the uUagang'A might be influencing our world from their hidden dimension.
Right.
How exactly do they do that? Do they have some kind of super advanced technology we can't even fathom?
This is where the document gets really intriguing.
Okay.
It suggests that their influence isn't technological in the way we understand it,
Hmm.
but rather operates on the level of consciousness and intention.
Okay.
They believe that thoughts and emotions have a tangible impact on reality.
So they're basically influencing us with the power of their minds.
Yeah.
Like collective telepathy or something.
It's not about mind control or anything like that. The document describes it more like a subtle nudging,
Okay.
an inspiration that arises from their focused intention to guide humanity towards a more harmonious path.
Okay. I can kind of wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
It's like they're sending out good vibes that resonate with those who are open to receiving them.
Yeah.
But if they're so advanced, why not just intervene directly? Why not just show themselves and share their wisdom openly?
That's a question that has puzzled many who have studied this document.
Right.
Some believe that direct intervention would disrupt our natural evolutionary process,
Okay.
while others speculate that they are waiting for humanity to reach a certain level of consciousness before revealing themselves.
So they're like cosmic teachers observing us from afar, waiting for the right moment to share their knowledge.
That's one interpretation.
Yeah.
But it also raises the question, what can we do to accelerate our own evolution?
Right.
How can we become more receptive to their guidance and wisdom?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the whole point, that we need to figure things out for ourselves to make our own mistakes and learn from them.
Perhaps. But the document does offer some clues.
Okay.
It repeatedly emphasizes the importance of cultivating awareness, compassion, and a deep connection to the natural world.
So basically, be more mindful, be kind to each other, and appreciate the beauty around us.
It sounds simple,
Yeah.
but it's profound advice that many of us struggle to put into practice.
I hear that. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life and forget about the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where the uUagang'A offer a powerful reminder.
Okay.
They believe that by shifting our focus from material possessions to inner growth,
Right.
from competition to collaboration,
Yeah.
we can begin to create a world that reflects the harmony and balance of their own society.
Okay, so maybe they're not just watching us. Maybe they're hoping for us,
Yeah.
cheering us on as we stumble towards a better future.
It's a hopeful thought, isn't it? And it brings us to another fascinating aspect of their culture,
Okay.
their understanding of life and death.
Right, because if anyone has figured out the mysteries of the afterlife, it would be the uUagang'A.
Yeah.
What do they believe happens when we die? Do they have elaborate rituals or ceremonies?
Their beliefs about death are deeply intertwined with their understanding of the interconnectedness of all things.
Okay.
They don't see death as an ending,
Right.
but as a transition to another state of being,
Okay.
a return to the source for which all life flows.
So like a drop of water returning to the ocean.
A beautiful analogy.
Yeah.
And just as a drop of water contains the essence of the ocean,
Right.
they believe that each individual soul carries within it the spark of the divine,
Okay.
the energy that animates all of creation.
That's a pretty comforting thought.
Okay.
But do they have any specific rituals or practices surrounding death?
The document mentions ceremonies that honor the cycles of nature,
Okay.
celebrating both the coming into being and the passing away of all things. It seems that they view life and death not as opposites,
Right.
but as two sides of the same coin, both equally worthy of reverence and celebration.
It's amazing how their philosophy weaves its way into every aspect of their lives.
Yeah.
Even their understanding of death.
Yeah.
It's so different from our own fear-based approach to mortality.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if perhaps their way of viewing death as a natural part of the cycle of life
Right.
could offer us a more peaceful and accepting perspective on our own mortality.
Definitely food for thought.
Uh,
But what about their art and music?
yeah.
I imagine a society as connected to nature as theirs would have some pretty incredible creative expressions.
The document describes vibrant and intricate art forms
Okay.
that reflect their deep connection to the natural world and the cosmos.
Okay.
They use natural materials, wood, stone, fibers to create sculptures, textiles, and instruments that seem to pulsate with the very energy of life.
So their art is like a tangible expression of their spiritual beliefs.
Precisely. It's as if they found a way to translate their profound understanding of the universe into physical form,
Yeah.
creating beauty that both inspires and elevates the soul.
It makes you wish we could see some examples of their art to experience their creativity firsthand.
Indeed. It's one of the many mysteries that the document leaves us pondering.
Right.
But perhaps one day, as we continue to explore and learn, we'll uncover more about this fascinating aspect of their culture.
Okay, I'm officially adding visit the uUagang'A art exhibit to my bucket list.
Good idea.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about their social structure.
Sure.
We've mentioned their collective leadership.
Right.
But what about their family units? How do they raise their children?
Their approach to family and child rearing is as unique as everything else about their society.
Okay.
They believe that children thrive in environments where they feel loved, supported, and connected to the community as a whole.
So it's not your typical nuclear family structure.
Not necessarily. The document describes fluid and adaptable family units, where the well-being of the child is paramount.
So like a village raising a child.
Exactly. It seems that they prioritize the emotional and spiritual development of their children, nurturing their individual talents and fostering a sense of belonging within the community.
That sounds like a pretty idyllic childhood.
Yeah.
But what about education? How do they pass on their knowledge and skills to the next generation?
Their education system is holistic,
Okay.
focusing on developing the whole person, mind, body, and spirit.
So less rote memorization, more hands-on learning.
Precisely. They emphasize experiential learning,
Okay.
encouraging exploration, curiosity, and a deep connection to the natural world.
It's like they're teaching their children to be active participants in the world around them,
Yeah,
rather than passive observers.
exactly. They believe that each individual has a unique role to play in maintaining the balance and harmony of their society.
This is all incredibly inspiring.
It is.
But let's address a topic that the document touches upon in a way that might seem a bit unconventional to us. Their understanding of sexuality and reproduction.
This is definitely an area where their worldview diverges significantly from our own.
Okay.
They see sexuality as a sacred act,
Okay.
a powerful force for creation and connection that extends far beyond the physical realm.
So not just about, procreation.
Not at all. They believe that sexual energy can be channeled for a variety of purposes,
Okay.
from healing to spiritual growth to artistic expression.
Okay. I'm definitely intrigued, but also a little hesitant to dive into this topic without knowing more about their specific practices.
The document does provide some intriguing glimpses into their rituals and beliefs,
Okay.
but it's important to approach this information with sensitivity and an open mind,
Right.
recognizing that their understanding of sexuality is rooted in a very different cultural and spiritual framework.
Right. It's not about judging their ways, but about understanding them within their own context.
Exactly. And perhaps by exploring their unique perspective, you
Yeah.
might even gain new insights into the power and potential of human connection and creativity.
This is definitely a lot to process. But I feel like we're starting to get a clearer picture of the uUagang'A and their way of life.
Right.
Their philosophy of Ubuntu seems to touch every aspect of their society,
Yeah,
creating a world that is both harmonious and deeply fulfilling.
indeed. And as we delve deeper into the document in part 3,
Okay.
I suspect we'll uncover even more fascinating insights into their culture, their beliefs, and their potential impact on our own world.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of the uUagang'A. We've explored their unique philosophy, their incredible abilities, and their fascinating social structures. And it's clear that they've created a society that operates on principles that are very different from our own.
What strikes me is how their way of life challenges many of our modern assumptions. They seem to have achieved a level of balance and harmony that we can only dream of.
I know, right? It's like they've cracked the code of human existence,
Yeah.
figured out how to live in a way that is both sustainable and fulfilling. But the big question is,
Right.
what can we as modern humans learn from them?
Yeah.
Can their way of life offer us any guidance or inspiration?
The document doesn't offer any easy answers,
Right.
but it does present a powerful vision of what's possible when we shift our focus from individualism to interconnectedness,
Okay.
from material possessions to conscious growth.
So less about me, myself, and I, and more about we.
Exactly.
But is that even realistic in today's world?
Right.
It seems like we're constantly bombarded with messages that encourage competition and self-promotion.
It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
But the uUagang'A believe that change starts with awareness.
Okay.
They suggest that by simply recognizing our interconnectedness,
Mm-hmm.
by acknowledging the impact our actions have on others and the planet,
Right.
we can begin to shift our collective consciousness
Yeah.
towards a more harmonious way of being.
So basically wake up and pay attention.
Yes.
Start seeing the bigger picture.
Precisely. And it's not just about seeing, it's
Okay.
about feeling.
Right.
The uUagang'A emphasize the importance of cultivating compassion, of developing a deep empathy for all living beings.
Okay, so it's about opening our hearts as well as our minds.
Exactly. They believe that true transformation happens when we connect with our hearts,
Yeah.
when we allow ourselves to feel the pain of others, the joy of connection, the awe of the natural world.
That makes sense. It's hard to care about something you're not emotionally invested in.
Right.
But how do we make that shift
Yeah.
from a head-centered to a heart-centered way of being? It seems like our whole society is geared towards logic and reason.
The uUagang'A believe that the key lies in reconnecting with nature.
Okay.
They see the natural world as a source of wisdom and healing, a mirror that reflects our true nature.
So less screen time, more green time.
Precisely. Spending time in nature allows us to slow down, to tune in to the rhythms of the earth,
Right.
to reconnect with the source of our own being.
I can definitely see the value in that.
Yeah.
There's something about being in nature that calms the mind and opens the heart.
And it's not just about passive observation. The uUagang'A believe in active engagement with the natural world, gardening, farming, creating art with natural materials.
Right.
It's about experiencing the interconnectedness of all things firsthand,
Yeah.
feeling the pulse of life flowing through us and all around us.
Okay, I'm starting to get a sense of how their philosophy translates into action.
Yeah.
It's not just about thinking differently.
Right.
It's about living differently. But let's circle back to the uUagang'A themselves.
Yeah.
If they're real, if they're out there watching us, what do they want from us? What's their message to humanity?
The document doesn't offer any explicit messages, but
Right.
it does present a stark contrast between their way of life and our own.
Yeah.
They seem to be urging us, through their example,
Yeah.
to reconsider our priorities, to question our assumptions, to explore new possibilities.
Oh, it's more like a challenge than a message, a call to action.
Perhaps they seem to be saying, look what we've achieved, look at the harmony and balance we've created. You have the potential to do the same, but it requires a radical shift in consciousness.
That's a powerful message, but also a daunting one. It's hard to imagine our world transforming so drastically.
Change can feel overwhelming, especially when we focus on the enormity of the task.
Right.
But the uUagang'A remind us that every journey begins with a single step.
So it's about focusing on what we can do individually,
Yeah.
rather than getting bogged down in the enormity of global issues.
Exactly. They believe that every act of kindness, every effort to live sustainably, every moment of genuine connection with another human being contributes to the shift towards a more harmonious world.
That's actually pretty encouraging.
Yeah.
It means that we all have the power to make a difference no matter how small our actions may seem.
And it's not just about actions.
Okay.
It's about intentions.
Okay.
The uUagang'A believe that our thoughts and emotions have a tangible impact on reality.
Right.
So by cultivating positive thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
by focusing our intentions on creating a better world, we are literally contributing to that creation.
It's a pretty mind-blowing idea. So basically, think good thoughts, do good deeds, and the world will follow.
It's not quite that simple,
Right.
but there's definitely a grain of truth to it.
Yeah.
The uUagam remind us that we are not separate from the world around us,
Right.
that we are active participants in the unfolding of reality.
That's a pretty empowering thought. It means we're not just victims of circumstance, but co-creators of our own destiny.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the central message of the uUagang'A, Ubuntu, the interconnectedness of all things.
Right.
They believe that by embracing this principle,
Yeah.
by recognizing our shared humanity and our interdependence with the natural world, we can begin to create a future that is just, sustainable, and fulfilling for all.
It's a beautiful vision, and one that I think we can all aspire to.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I have to ask, if the uUagang'A are real, if they're out there watching us,
Right.
what do they think of our world? Are they hopeful for our future?
The document doesn't offer any definitive answers,
Sure.
but it does hint that the uUagang'A see great potential in humanity. They believe that we have the capacity for great love, compassion, and creativity.
So maybe they're not just observing us, but rooting for us,
Yeah.
hoping that we'll wake up and realize our own potential.
It's a hopeful thought, isn't it?
It is.
And perhaps that's the most important lesson we can take from this deep dive into the world of the uUagang'A.
Yeah.
That even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, there is always hope.
Right.
Hope that we can learn from our mistakes. Hope that we can change our course. Hope that we can create a future worthy of our highest aspirations.
That's a beautiful sentiment to end on. And I think it's a message that we all need to hear now more than ever. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. And remember, the exploration doesn't end here. Keep questioning, keep seeking, keep diving deep. Until next time, fellow knowledge seekers.